Hello everybody, welcome back. Let's have a look at EOS then. A lot of people want me to do another update to the EOS videos, which is fine. I get it, because I suppose it's a journey, isn't it, that we started back down here. And so it's only fair to update it. Given the fact that we have these massive big moves down, probably seems a bit scary for people, but you know, it's all about trusting the original signals and then having those signals confirmed to you. So there's not a great deal more than I can really say about the chart, which is that it's still working very much like as intended. And when you start an uptrend, they can tend to be very slow and extremely volatile, you know, and very testing, and which is definitely the case for EOS. But you know, the overall plan was to get in at the accumulation zone. Yeah, this is what we were doing. This is why I started making these videos, and it was a very crazy accumulation zone. As you can see, big wicks up, big moves down, big moves up, big moves down. Very testing accumulation zone. But that's what an accumulation zone is. And there's lots of other accumulation zones like this that are taking place at the moment. I could say YFII or YFI2, whatever it is. That's one which is doing the same kind of thing. That's in a massive accumulation zone at the moment. And that is very testing as well. But it doesn't have the history that EOS does, which makes this a more of an appropriate chart to trade and trust. And it's, like I say, it's working out very well. So just in a nutshell, we opened up our areas down here. We were buying into it bit by bit in this rough zone down here, because we were out of this consolidation and we're into the accumulation, which means that at some point, no one really knows when it would be, but at some point it would start to go into an uptrend. So that's what happened. It started to go into an uptrend, a significant one to start with, when it broke out of what appeared to be a very strong resistance zone. It was around about, we'll see it more clearly on the daily, in fact, it was around about $3.90 from what I remember. Or maybe it was a little less, you know, maybe it was $3.60. It was around about those zones. Anyway, when we broke out of there, it was great, and then we came back down and everything was horrendous. But this is also a normal thing to see when an uptrend starts, especially when you get a golden cross. Everybody thinks we're going to go straight up to the moon, but in fact what normally happens is when you get a golden cross, you do it's kind of a signal, but it's not a signal to be traded as such. It's a sign of strength being created on the chart. So what happens is a lot of people always get caught out with that, and we often find this, and we see this all the time when we do our live streams. We pretty much see this all the time. Golden cross, dump down into it, then you can buy again or buy more, or maybe sometimes even long, you know. So anyway, we got that golden cross, then we got our pump, we got our dump down into it, which was fine. But the most interesting thing about this dump here, which is the one of the only times I decided to buy back more, is because we got this conversion baseline cross on the weekly, which was the best thing we could ever see on EOS, all right? This is one of those signals that it doesn't happen very often, and it's on a weekly, so it holds way more relevance to a much longer, larger continuation onto making new highs for a longer period of time than any other. So we got this, and it was a perfect one. It was above the cloud. This was above the price action over here, and it's now still diverging. This is still very much in play. In fact, after this dump, when I saw that, I bought more because I saw that this cross took place the week prior to it. It's the only time I'd ever buy more of something that I'd already bought in accumulation. The dump didn't scare me whatsoever. In fact, it encouraged me to buy more. So I bought more here, and yes, we went on to make significant highs, and then we dumped all the way back down again, and now we're moving all the way back up again. Look, this is all just going to be noise, I'm afraid. For those who want to trade EOS and they were trading it with me from the beginning of the accumulation phase, I hope you haven't sold, but it's your coin to do what you want with. You know, I'm not here as a financial advisor. In fact, I am not a financial advisor, but my strategy was always just to buy down here, and I did buy more here because we had this cross back here, and this cross generally means, until proven otherwise, we're going to continue to go up and make new highs. So you know, when I was saying that what we're going to start to see at some point is going to be like a mirror image, we're going to see this as a mirror, and I kind of drew a little line down here and said, look, this is what we're looking to expect. Apart from this took 3 years, and this is likely to only take 1 year, we're going to get these kind of moves on the way up. So when we see this and we think about that, we go, okay, so these are the particular areas of interest, right? So we had one over here, which corresponds to the top that was formed pretty much here, more or less. Then we got this move here. We did peak above it, but more or less we kind of closed around here, and that corresponds to these 2 wicks over here. So the next thing that we're looking to do really is take out that and this, and then we'll probably be targeting areas where this last wick was, where we might have a bit more of a rejection point again. So that more or less is around about between $8 and $9, more or less. That's roughly the area that we're looking to move up to next. Now, each time we see these big moves up and big moves down, they are pretty horrendous. The moves down are very big, 40% there. This probably looks like it was more. 48, almost 50%. Yeah, that's fine. So this seems to be the behavior that EOS has chosen to employ. So we're going to get this behavior more than likely throughout the rest of the year. So we're going to reach these peaks, which are quite easily mapped if you think about it. So we got one here, which corresponded to this peak here. We got that peak, we dumped. We reached this peak here, which corresponded to this peak. We're talking about candle bodies here, and then we dumped. Candle body closed and opened again at the previous dump area. So look, it's nice and neat, and this is one of the reasons I like this. I always said from the very beginning, don't expect EOS to make you a multi-millionaire. It's not the best chart. It's not the best coin in the world. You'll get better returns on small caps, I'm sure. People will, I hope, recognize what it is that I'm doing here, which is showing a chart which showed a very specific and encouraging signature for good risk to reward ratio over a longer period of time. And we're talking about a long period of time. We're talking about the rest of this year. We're talking about 6 or 7 months, all right? So that's still not that long, really, to even from this level double or triple your money potentially. So let's get back to it. So yeah, we launched, rejected here at this level. Then next time we peaked above it, rejected here at this level. Came back down, closed at this level. So the previous resistance is now support. We broke above there. So it would be reasonable to assume that when we break above here, we'll have another ripping move, possibly to here, maybe even all the way up to $10. And then where would we expect the support to be after the next big dump? One of these three, worst case scenario, all the way back down to $7.20, and that would hopefully close there, and then we could use that as a further support. So there is perfect rhythm to this chart. I love the way that it's shaping up. It's really good. It's a good example of how you can use previous supports and resistances, Ichimoku clouds, golden crosses, the whole lot is all perfectly explained in this chart, and we are looking to make that mirror image of this chart going down, going up. This is working out perfectly, just as intended. And again, we have these big dumps on this one, don't we? And it does feel pretty scary. But when you zoom out and think about what's happening on the longer term time frames, it's really not scary at all. It's very structured, it's very neat and tidy, and this is exactly the reason that I chose to talk about EOS on this channel. Not to boast about it being the best thing in the world, the technology which will drive out everything else, or the price which will eclipse everything else. Was never my intention. My intention was to show a chart of a trade that I'm entering, which was a clear signature of accumulation, and now a clear signature of a long-term continuation. And now then, when we look at it, the way that it is behaving, it's behaving very neatly, using supports and resistances as being flipped after each one of these horrendous dumps. The only way is up. I'm pretty confident. The only way is up for EOS, and it's about just seeing that for what it is, for seeing it in its simplest terms. We've got the confirmation of continuation on a long-term trend. We've got previous supports now that used to be resistances, and we're probably going to continue that behavior throughout the rest of the year, making incremental steps up, all the way up to here and beyond. This chart is only a Binance chart. The actual value of EOS is, all-time high was actually all the way up over here. That said, doesn't mean that we're going to go up there again, but I probably would expect that we probably would. Because if we think about the way that we are, the chart is forming here, we are from, let's just say, the center of the accumulation zone with a reclaiming of the 20 moving average. We're already up 137%. At one point we were up 240%. Each time we come down, it's about 50%, but it's still higher than the previous area. So I think over the rest of the year, it is more than likely that we will end up into the $20 region, and then when we get there, I mean, it doesn't take much for it to go to $40, $50, $100. Really, you know, it's hard to picture it from these levels because that's such a phenomenal move up from where we are at right now. I mean, if we're talking $50, that's almost, you know, well, that's like a 8 or 9x from where we're at right now. That sounds unrealistic at this point of the chart. When we're looking at it now, it's still, you know, it's a confirmed uptrend. There's no question, but it's hard to picture it, you know, making those big moves, because what that would mean is that we would have a chart that kind of really just dwarfs, I can't, for some reason I don't know why it's doing it, but dwarfs this previous high, you know, significantly. But we get that on cryptocurrency all the time, and we kick ourselves when we look at the way that the chart looks and go, I wish I'd have bought down there. Well, for those who followed me on this trade, not that I'm here to be followed, but for those who recognised what was going on, should I say, and took it upon themselves to enter a trade responsibly from doing their own research, you know, you should feel pretty comfortable in your entry point, especially if it was in the accumulation zone or after this confirmation of the conversion baseline cross. That also would have been a great place. For now, what we're doing is we are making our way up to our next big move. Doesn't mean that we're going to get there on this next tick up. For instance, we are talking of weekly charts here. Looks like every month we take a move up, so we might be looking at another big move up over the next 3 or 4 weeks or so, perhaps. And then we'll most likely find a horrendous dump again. But provided we take out that we remain above our previous candle body highs over here as support, I wouldn't particularly be worried or concerned, really. I really wouldn't. I would actually see that as a very much in tune with the way that the chart is performing. Lower term time frames, I mean, the market had been looking like it was going to go into a downtrend recently, and it was a little concerning, you know, with the Bitcoin chart. We won't go into details, but at the moment it does look quite encouraging that the market is actually going to continue to go up. It's not absolutely confirmed, you know, we've still got these moving averages on EOS, for instance. The lower term time frames are still a little bit bent up. But this isn't really a chart to be trading on the long-term time frames. This on the short term, should I say? It's the long terms that are going to show it the best. To give it the best, I suppose, the best way to look at it. Anyway, I'm going to leave it with you there. But thanks for watching. I hope you have a nice day. And if you want to join the Telegram channel, it's free. I've got a Patreon channel where we do live streams twice a week. And if you want to get access to reduced fees on Binance and other trading platforms, I've got a multitude of links below, which will offer you 20% off your trading fees. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you have a nice day. Take it easy.